Right. Is everybody? Hi. There are chairs. If you all are looking for chairs, there's plenty of chairs up here. Those of you who are still checking in, right. So there are lots of chairs up here. You can actually have a front row seat. How cool is that? Right, right here, right. Right. Did everybody get wine? It's really good with raspberries. There we go. Wonderful.
I'll try not to do it.
I'm not sure who they are. Sorry, I'm just checking to see if anybody's still checking in. Wow, silence has fallen. That's very exciting. So there are a few people checking in, but we should really get started. So I want to thank our virtual audience who's joined us and who will be able to watch this at home on Facebook or YouTube anytime from tonight forward, and you can do that too. So thank you very much for coming. I'm Barbara Peters. I'm the owner of the Poison Pen, but I am not the most important staff member, partly because I don't actually know how to do all that much anymore. Technology is kind of making me obsolete, but I still read books, and that works it out very well. This is our 35th year. We are in our third location here, and as I mentioned before, this is the very small part of the bookstore, and the rest of the building is the main part. Anyway, we have not previously hosted an event for the Creepy Book Club, but I can see it's very cool, right?
Go Creepy Book Club.
Yay.
I don't even know where they are. Oh, there they are.
Yep. So I feel like we should join them. You know, the thing is, if you have a retail store, you don't really pay that much attention to online groups, but we should. So this is a lesson to us that maybe we'll take turns signing up for groups like yours, and then we will be clued in. So tonight, as I understand it, the authors have worked out a great program. There are books for sale up in front. Geneva could not come tonight, but she'll be with you tomorrow, and she did sign whatever hardcovers still remain up in front. So is there any other housekeeping? You all got the bathroom code, right, 1999?
That is a great code.
It's one at a time. Right. Anything else? No. So the program is well done. And afterward, what we're going to do is we're going to clean off the wine. So I recommend that you drink it now because it will disappear. And then we'll pull that table up and the authors can sign their books for you there because there's really no other convenient place here. And we have prizes tonight.
Lots of prizes.
I am giving away ARCs because I probably get, 15 or 20 a day, and that's no joke. And so I've selected a range of advanced reading copies, which is what ARC stands for. Those are the books I get to read. And oftentimes they're not quite the books that are published, or sometimes there's more in them than the books that are published, so it's very cool to have one. So we have a bunch, and how are we doing this? You've got names already.
I've got everybody who signed up. I've got your name in a hat. So
We gotcha.
We will draw for lots
So
of
Heather
fun
will
stuff.
draw, and you can blame Heather if you don't like your book. Right. So anyway, thank you all very much for coming, and
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So I think the first thing, since this is such a fantastic crowd, a kind of a tradition with authors these days, we need to get a selfie of us with you in the background.
Yes.
So just smile.
Yes.
And then we want, and when, like we do 1, 2, 3, say Creepy Book Club.
Yeah. Shameless promotion.
Okay, watch it. I'll take pictures of you. You guys do this. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Oh, I can't see Lucinda.
Sorry, okay, my bad. Okay, there we go.
1, 2, 3, Creepy Book Club. And then we gotta do these guys back here.
Okay. Oh yeah.
All right, over here. Over here.
Husband corner.
Husband for 1, 2, 3, Creepy.
Creepy Book Club.
Yay. Okay, thank
All
you
right.
for indulging us with that.
Yes. So usually Heather and I are just sitting in front of our individual computers. Heather in Iowa, Kaira in California, and Kimberly Bell, who's not with us tonight, is usually coming to us from Atlanta. But This is our very first ever live Killer Author Club. So thank you guys for being part of it in person. We started the Killer Author Club back in, 2 years ago during like the height of the pandemic. And I had a book coming out and I found out that Heather had a book coming out. Kimberly did, and there was just no way to communicate to readers we were all stuck in our house. My book happened to be called Somebody's Home, which was also ironic. But anyway, so we decided that we would get together and do a bi-weekly online interview show with our favorite authors like Stacy and Lucinda, who've both been on the show. And if you guys haven't tuned in, please do. It's, like I said, every other Tuesday. KillerAuthorClub.com has all the information. But, and we just realized we get anywhere from 4,000 to 22,000 views in the first 36 hours. So that's kind of, we're huge. I know you haven't heard of us yet, but we're ginormous. So anyway, okay, so tonight we're thrilled to be hosting the very first live episode. And let me introduce my co-host, Killer, Heather Gudenkauf. She's Edgar Award nominated, New York Times and USA Today best-selling author of 10 novels, including The Overnight Guest, and her novels have been published in 25 countries and have sold over 2.5 million copies worldwide. Heather lives in Iowa with her family, and 2 of her sisters are here tonight, so we will say shout out to
my sweet sisters Molly and Jane, who are my partners in crime.
Yeah, if you can't tell.
You can't make the connection.
Yeah, exactly.
And thank you, Killer Kaira. And let me introduce you to Killer Kaira Rouda. She is the USA Today and Amazon Charts best-selling author of contemporary fiction, exploring what goes on beneath the surface of seemingly perfect lives. Her suspense novels include Best Day Ever, The Next Wife, and What the Nanny Saw. Her next novel, so excited about this, Jill is Not Happy. What a title. About an
Anybody else?
about an ill-fated road trip that resurrects a couple's darkest secrets, and it comes out this June. Kaira's novel, Beneath the Surface, has been optioned for a feature film. Yes. And she lives in California with her family.
Including Harley, who is here tonight, holding down the husband corner. The husband corner. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you, Heather. And now to tonight's guest authors. Lucinda Berry is a USA Today bestselling author and a former psychologist and leading researcher in childhood trauma. She's written multiple bestsellers, reaching millions of readers worldwide. Some of her best-selling works include The Perfect Child, Saving Noah, When She Returned, The Best of Friends, and Keep Your Friends Close. Her books have been optioned for film and translated into several languages. Her latest, 1 in 4, is out in May. Welcome, Lucinda. Can you give us a little elevator pitch about your next novel, please? Do not spill on your...
I just spilled already. Elevator pitch. So my next one is 1 in 4. It's out in May, and it's a reality TV show, and somebody is murdered during the show. Shocking. Well, the cameras are still rolling, and that's all I can tell you.
I love it. Thank you.
Good. And we have Stacy Willingham. Stacy Willingham is the New York Times, USA Today, and internationally best-selling author of several novels, including A Flicker in the Dark, All the Dangerous Things, Only If You're Lucky, and the upcoming Forget Me Not, which comes out in August, right? She lives in Charleston, South Carolina with her family, and her husband is in the
Husband
section.
corner.
He's in the husband corner.
And a little bird told me that it is Stacy's birthday today.
It is. Thank you. I kind of forgot, honestly.
I know we're not singing though. We're not absolutely
That's
not.
fine.
We're not
Please-
singing.
please,
but
you don't need
happy
to.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Stacy. And please give us an elevator pitch about your latest.
Sure, yeah. I wish I could be as succinct as Lucinda, because when I give my elevator pitches, I ramble for like 10 minutes. But you
don't
guys
have
are
to.
actually the first to ever hear me talk about Forget Me Not in person. I've never talked about it in person before. So Forget Me Not is my 4th novel. It'll be out in August. And it tells the story of a woman named Claire Campbell. She's an investigative journalist whose older sister Natalie was murdered in the 90s. And she's kind of spent her whole life trying to bury the trauma of her past and get away from her hometown until her father calls one day, 22 years later, and asks her to come home. So she goes back to her little town in South Carolina, and kind of this dam she had built up in her mind immediately buckles, and these memories of her sister start flooding back. and she starts visiting kind of all these old places of her past, including a muscadine vineyard where her and her sister used to spend a lot of time together. And when she's there, she uncovers a diary written by one of the vineyard's owners detailing all these sinister details of various unsolved crimes. So that is Forget-Me-Not in a wordy nutshell.
That wasn't bad.
Can't wait. We
Thank
can't
you.
wait.
It's a
We
tall,
went up like 50 stories.
a very tall building. Yeah, it's a very tall building. Okay, and all right, as I might have mentioned, we are the Killer Author Club, you guys. So if you watch our show, and you should, the killers love our cocktails and mocktails. And so before we get to the important questions, as in every episode, we will celebrate tonight's killer cocktail, and it is Jane and Molly's Killer White Sparkling Wine.
So, and we always give a cheers when we have our show. So, cheers to everybody who's been come
darn
to
it.
see us. And so, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
we
thanks
for
really
being here.
appreciate it. We also have to give a cheers to Barbara and the staff at Poison Pen for being
Yeah.
so generous to opening up their doors. And of course, a cheers to the Creepy Book Club, Ashley and Emily, for making this possible. We love you. So, cheers to all of you.
So many
Cheers.
cheers. Cheers. Okay. It's up to you. Independent bookstore.
Oh, I'm sorry. This happens on our shows all the time.
Yeah, the last episode I totally stole her line, so we're both talking at the same time. It was really awkward. Okay.
So one of the aspects of our show, too, is as the Killer Author Club, we really love our independent bookstores throughout the nation, and we really want to support and highlight them. And so we ask our authors to choose one of their favorite indie bookstores, and we put up a graphic to celebrate them. We drop the links in the comments for, for the people to go ahead and go shop there. But of course, because we're at the Poison Pen, our killer bookseller tonight is Poison Pen Bookstore. So thank you again for hosting us.
Yay. All right. And so what makes the Killer Author Club different, you wonder? Yes, you do. Well, we try to talk as often as possible and as much as possible about killing. Of the fictional kind, of course, fictional kind. It is all fiction, maybe. Shh. Okay, anyway, so we always ask our guests, and sometimes they're a little taken aback if they haven't watched the show, a killer question, and that kind of starts out our conversation. So tonight we're going to do that with these guys. And so the first question for our killer guest is, so Stacy, why do you kill?
Why do I kill? I have been on this show before, so I was prepared for this question. And the first time I was very caught off guard, though. Why? I get asked that question quite a bit. I also get asked what kind of family I came from, because all of my books have to do with very dysfunctional families, and thankfully they're all super normal people. I would say I kill because my life is very normal and a little bit boring, and there's something about it's the mystery for me. I have a lot of fun coming up with an idea and specifically a twist, and it's a challenge for me to try and pull it off. I'm constantly wondering, like, how far can I take this? What can I get away with? Can I place the clues just so when you get to the end and you read the twist, hopefully it catches you by surprise, but when you look back, it was all there all along and it actually makes total sense. So for me, it's there's the killing, yeah, but there's the mystery aspect of it that I like to piece together.
Love it, love it. So Lucinda, you're in the hot seat. We want to know, when do you kill?
When do I kill? When do I not kill? No. You know what's really funny though, because I too have been on your podcast and didn't answer this question, and so I was thinking about like all of my books, right? And like when do I kill? And I don't kill anyone at night, right?
Oh.
Like no one dies in my book at night.
Interesting.
Unless y'all can think of a book where somebody dies at night, but nobody dies at night. So I predominantly, apparently, prefer killing in daylight hours. So I don't know what that says about me, but yeah. Yeah, I don't kill anyone at night. I'm like in your face. Am I going to stab you? Like, you're going to see I don't know. So, yeah.
That's really, it's bold and daring. I love it. I love it. Okay. And she said kill a lot too, which I like. Okay. All right. Now, Heather, we're going to turn the bright spotlight your way. Where do you kill?
Okay, so I kill at home in my tiny little office with my sidekick Lolo. If you know me at all, you know of my 13-year-old German short-haired pointer Lolo, who is always in my office with me. So I kill at home, but I do roam around the house while I kill in my head. Probably most remarkably, like once in a while, I'll say to my husband, like, can you lay down like between the bathroom door and the hallway? Because like I'm trying to write this scene, and I just kind of need to know how how it's supposed to look. And you know, he humors me once in a while.
Yeah, he's not in the husband corner though. You
he's
notice?
not here with me.
Why? I don't know why. Here he is. He didn't make it. He didn't make it.
Oh no, I'm not going there.
He didn't make it. So that I kill at home. So now, Kaira, you're in the hot
Yes.
seat. And I know the answer to this question, and I love it. So I
do?
can't wait for you to
What if
tell
I
everybody.
change it? No kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not. I wouldn't. Okay.
Who do you kill?
Men, usually. Totally.
The husbands are getting scared.
Yeah. The husbands and the husband. I know. Harley. Yeah, he always sleeps with one eye open. He knows what I do, but they all deserve it. I mean, the men who go. And yeah, it's funny because I look back and I don't plot. I'm a pantser, so I just start writing and then whoops, another one's gone. I don't know. They just go, but they do deserve it. So yeah, that's kind of. Anyway.
So funny. So now that you know a little bit about us, what we really pride ourselves in the Killer Author Club is getting the audience involved, whether it be online. We have a chat going, and
This is better.
Yeah, we really like to get the audience questions. So what we're inviting you to do now is to ask our guests or us any questions that you have about writing, reading, books, killing, whatever is on your mind. So hypothetically, fictional kind.
Fictionally.
So does anybody have any questions?
I do. When you're writing, are you starting with whatever the twist is going to be already kind of thought of in your mind, or does that develop as you're writing the story?
So I think.
Yeah, repeat.
So basically, she asked, when you're writing a story, do you know the twist in advance, or does it happen as you're writing? Right? Was that the question? Okay. So I think that's very different, like depending on the writer, right? So one of the things that Kaira said is that she's a pantser, right? And so we talk about being pantsers versus plotters in the writing world. So some of us are pantsers. Me and Kaira are shocking. I don't know about those two, but I mean, it's
I'm
like
a pantser.
Are we all pantsers? Are you a pantser? You're a plotter, aren't you?
No, I am.
You're a pantser too?
I'm in recovery from being a pantser.
Okay, I mean, so she's a recovered pantser.
It's kind of honking me out.
But so being a pantser means that like you really have a very vague idea when you start out where your book is going, and then like the story sort of leads, right? So you don't have a detailed outline. So yes, we may know what the twist is initially, or we may not. That might change as we go, right? But somebody that's a plotter, they probably have a very good idea of exactly what that twist is, and then they're like just building upon it. They're writing around the twist because they already know it. So it really depends on like what kind of a writer you are.
And one thing I have always found fascinating in all the authors I've had the privilege of meeting is like even pantsers and plotters do it differently. I've met some plotters who meticulously plot and outline their entire book. I've met some who like Rachel Hawkins, if you guys know Rachel, she's a friend of mine, and she writes like the book in 20,000 words, and then she expands upon it and adds all the details, which is so interesting. So I am a pantser like Lucinda, and it sounds like the rest of us, but I always know my twists when I start. So when I come up with the idea, for me, what makes it interesting and worth exploring and spending the next like year of my life writing is the twist, and then I figure out everything in the middle. So it's fascinating to me how everyone does it differently.
You're right. Yeah, I'm not even going to let you answer because you're
okay.
you're leaving us pantsers. No,
sorry.
I'm kidding. No, you can't. No, it's funny. Well, because our third host on the Killer Author Club, which you should watch if you haven't, is Kimberly Bell, and she's a big plotter. So she'll have like every chapter like written out. I don't know. You can say what does she do?
Yeah,
A lot.
she has spreadsheets and color coded, and it's beautiful. And so I like we all have many books under our belts, but for me it never gets easier. And I've written myself into so many corners and dead ends that I finally reached out to Kimberly, the queen of plotting, and I said, I really want to try this. So she's kind of guided me, and I can say that there are some perks to plotting. But the most important thing I think we'll all say about writing is those special moments, those sparks of like all of a sudden while you're writing, something brand new and exciting kind of leads you in a different direction. So we never want to squash that down, of course, but yes.
Spreadsheets. Blah. Yeah. It's like the opposite. I know it's the opposite of what. Yeah. Nope. No, I can't. No, can't do it. I know it's making me nervous. Okay, next question. Does anybody else have a question? Oh, here's one.
Not to sound too ominous, but VC Andrews. Oh, thanks. VC Andrews has a lot of ominous prologues and dedications in the beginning of her anniversary books. So without getting too personal, I wanted to see which book that you guys wrote that you've pulled from a personal experience or a personal experience of a loved one.
Okay. That's a great question.
Allegedly.
Kara, who kills husbands.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah. Okay. So, husband in the corner did happen to run for office and inexplicably won and went to Congress. And so, anyway, so while he was doing that, I came up with an idea for like this congressional spouse who really she wants to be in office. And seriously, through the history of time, the way women have become members of Congress or had a chance to serve is through dead husbands. So that is how it happens, because it's they're supposed to like just take the seat for like a little bit while they find an appropriate man to take the seat, but a lot of women have like stayed there and done a great job. So I mean, like John McCain, when he died, Cindy McCain took his job and then she went away, but like Sonny Bono, when he died, Mary Bono stayed and served several terms after that. So anyway, I thought, well, this will be fun. I think my long-serving wife and husband, and she's a little mad at him because he's having an affair. Not that he had an affair, because that was the other thing. That was the other thing, because I know, there is a side door. But the next thing you know, like page 6 is calling and going, is it true your husband had an affair? I'm like, no, it's a fiction book. But anyway, so, okay, that's enough about that story. But it's called The Widow. It's really good, and he might die. The husband, not that one, the one in the book. Yeah. So that is based on true story. Yeah. Some of it.
Lucinda, Stacy?
Yeah, my third book is called Only If You're Lucky, and it's a college campus thriller about if anyone's read it, it's about a girl named Margot who moves into a house off campus with a couple girls her sophomore year, and a fraternity boy in the house next door winds up murdered, and one of her roommates goes missing. And that the idea for that book came to me because when I was in college, I was invited to live in a house off campus. Not by a random person like in the book. It was by one of my best friends. But the house that I lived in for 2 years in college was really, truly owned by a fraternity. So these fraternity boys were our landlords. And the house was a piece of shit. It was like deteriorating. There was like a keg in the living room for so long. The wood got squishy because it was just like dripping wet all the time. Like it was such an interesting living experience. But it struck me years later when I looked back on my life in college, thinking about, first of all, these boys could kind of just come in and out as they pleased. And we were lucky that they were super respectful, nice guys, but what if they weren't? And there was this power dynamic at play where they had all these three women as their tenants, essentially, and they were our landlords. And then after probably about 3 months of living there, my roommates and I found some stuff in the house. And I'm going to stop right there because the rest are spoilers. But we found some things in the house that were pretty creepy. And that's where Only If You're Lucky came from.
Wow. So I guess for me, like I often get asked the question too if I grew up in a very scary household. I mean, my books are dark and quite disturbing, and I can honestly say, except for my two sisters, it was this amazing. No, I had a great. I had a great childhood, and I grew up in a household where I was allowed to be creative and read anything I wanted to and explore, and so I was 100% supported by my family to be creative. So I happily can say that my books are fictional, totally. But what is real and true to my life in the books is my home state of Iowa. So if you know me, you know how much I love my home state, and they are featured in some way in every single one of my thrillers. And many of the places that I refer to in the book are places I've lived, places I've traveled. I may change the details a little bit, but one thing I want people to know about the state of Iowa, it is a flyover state. Usually if people come, it's because their great aunt Myrtle died. Or they have family there. But it really is this beautiful place. It's really rich in literature. And it's beautiful. It's not just the corn and the flat land, and there's rolling hills, there's bluffs, and the Mississippi River, the Missouri River, there's caves, and so I feature all those kinds of things in my books. And yes, there's also, like any state, any small towns, there's a dark underbelly.
Killers.
And I try to explore that as well.
Forgot I hadn't gone. Yeah, well, I mean, so I used to be a psychologist. So, I mean, I guess I technically still am. I'm just not like practicing or licensed anymore. But yeah, so a lot of my stuff, especially my early stuff, is all just loosely based on like real cases and events. And like even now, there's always an element of truth in it, you know? So, yeah.
Anybody else?
Okay, the question is, why thrillers? Do you want to take that, Kaira?
Sure, Heather, thanks.
You're
No, I'm kidding. You know, it's funny. I started out writing women's fiction, so I was writing very sweet, kind of inspirational, kind stories. I was, and then all of a sudden, and I was actually writing an even sweeter story for my agent when this character, Paul, popped into my head, and he became the book Best Day Ever. And I couldn't figure out why I got this guy in my head, but I wrote it really fast and it just came out. And so I said to my agent, okay, I've written this book, but it's kind of a thriller. She's like, oh no, I don't read those. And I'm like, nuts. This is a whole stopper. I'm like, but I really like this. So then she ended up reading it, and it was my first like breakout book. And I think, and my daughter's like, why are you writing those things? And to me, it's really cathartic. And I didn't know until I went on book tour with Best Day Ever that Paul represented every single one of my horribly misogynistic male bosses. And he was all wrapped up into this one guy that popped into my head. And all their words and their thoughts and the way they treated people in the world were all still in there. And they came out. And it was so nice to have this like really dark character. I mean, he does, he's bad. But he does bad things. But it's cathartic. And also, I guess that's why, because there is bad in the world. And it kind of, it's a way to process it.
Why thrillers? I don't know. I can't write anything that's like light and happy. Right? I don't know. Like I just can't. Like I've been writing my entire life since I was a little girl, and like one of my like very first stories that I got published in the Post Bulletin when I was like in 4th grade or whatever. It's like, but it's all about this. It's so sad. But it's all about this little girl that's like dying of cancer, right? Like in her bed, and she's watching the world outside of her bedroom window. All of her friends as it's happening, right? And how they all came to like see her when she first got sick, which is how, and then, just carried on with their lives. So I was in 4th grade. And I don't know. It's just like what I'm attracted to, you know? I mean, it's probably why I was in traumas because like I just like the dark parts of the human psyche fascinate me. Why people do, you know, a lot of the reasons that I'm a psychologist are like show up in my like writing, right? Because it's the same skills, really. You know, it's like inside of people's psyche, which is where I like to live. But like the dark parts, right? The parts nobody wants to talk about. So yeah, and other stuff. So like that's where I live, you know. I never. Somebody, I don't even know if it was a podcast or whatever it was. So, like somebody had asked me about writer's block, and I'm like, I just never get writer's block. Like. I just don't because there's just always voices and story. Like half of me always exists in another world, right? And then somebody asked me, like, had I ever written anything happy, right? And so it was like, I tried to think of a story that would have like a happily ever after. And like I've never had more writer's block in my entire life. I literally I could not think of a single word that I was like, I don't even know how I would do that. Like, how do you write a story where they live happily ever after? I don't know. And so like, yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's really not as fun, I found. I don't know. Yeah.
It's not me.
How about you, Stacy? Why thrillers?
I have a sort of similar story to Lucinda. That's also just what I've always been drawn to. I guess, you know, I was saying I come from a pretty normal family, but in a lot of ways, my parents did do this to me because I grew up watching Alfred Hitchcock and The Twilight Zone and Columbo, and then I kind of graduated to once. My older sister used to force me to watch horror movies with her because she was too scared to watch them herself. So of course she would pull her little sister into her room and make me watch like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer when I was 9. And one time she locked me in the bathroom and made me watch What Lies Beneath in a bathtub. And so if you've ever seen What Lies Beneath, that was a little traumatizing. But my sister and I used to write these little short stories together when I was probably like 9 or 10. And one time we wrote like a movie script and then we took my parents' camcorder out into the woods and filmed it. And then we sat my parents down to watch it. And it was essentially the Blair Witch Project. And they were like, we have these 2 daughters who are like not even in middle school yet. And we're recreating the Blair Witch Project. But I think for me, it's the adrenaline. Like I love scary movies. I love reading thrillers because I like the adrenaline that comes with being on the edge of your seat. And then I love writing twists because as much as I want to like pull my hair out trying to get it to work, it's such a challenge and it never gets boring. Like every book is different because I'm trying to pull something off every single time and I never know if I can do it. And then when I finally figure it out and it clicks, it's just really satisfying. And and I just no happy stories have ever come to me either. These are just the things that come to me. So that's what I write.
So Stacy, please tell me you still have that video.
I'm sure my mom does somewhere, but she's not going to show it to anyone. It's like in a box locked in the attic.
These are not my daughters.
So I guess for me, when I'm a woman of a certain age, and when I started out, it was all like the Ramona Quimby books and Little House on the Prairie and all those those books. And then all of a sudden, you know, I think Kaira and many of you can probably relate to this. All of a sudden, you know, we wanted to read something a little bit thicker, a little bit more. And we'd go to the library, the shelves, and there wasn't really anything for the mid-tweens, you know. And so then I went to the shelf the K's and Stephen King. And so way too young to read those books. But those, you know, those were what I ended up being drawn to and devoured all
Andrews,
those.
yeah.
And so fortunately now we live in a world where young adult fiction is so much more accessible and there's, you know, tons of books for kids of all ages. And so I had kind of skipped from Pollyanna to Poltergeist and Dark. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, some in the back. Oh, yeah. Can you shout it out?
Sneakiest way to kill. Love that. You guys have star on that side.
This is a super vague answer, but I came up with my sneakiest way to kill in Forget Me Not, my 4th book out in August. I used some methods I've never used before, and that's all I'm going to say.
That's really hard. I'm going to use one that I haven't used in my books, but I always appreciate as a reader, and it's poison. I think that is, if you can find a way to slide something into there,
Absolutely.
sparkling wine.
It's really the only.
I'll
When
read-
they're not
I'll
looking.
read that.
Yeah, when they're not looking. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm a big Poison fan myself. I really am. I mean, and our logo for the Killer Author Club, if you haven't watched it and you're going to now, it happens to be hemlock. There you go. And I keep wanting people to guess that because it's like the original killing machine, right? I mean, hemlock. And there's so many poison weeds. Like something in your yard can kill you like that. I mean, guaranteed they're all over. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of. I think it's sneaky because it's softer. You can poison and leave. You don't have to be you could just, you could be in another town by the time they're even dead. It's great. Yeah.
I did not know that about your logo.
Yes.
All this time, I
What
thought
did
it
you
was
think?
I just thought it was I don't know, weed. I don't know, I mean, not weed. Not weed. I'm I don't know. I just thought a flower. I don't know. I did not think it was a poisonous flower. I mean, now it makes sense, but I thought it was cute. I don't know how there's from Iowa. I forgot the question. Oh, the sneakiest way to kill. I mean, I really do love poison too. I've never poisoned anyone in a book though. But I do, yeah. I mean, I do love I don't know. I really liked. There's an overdose in one of my books. I won't share, if you haven't read it. But I really liked that overdose.
Okay. Let's just take that away right now. Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Any more? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's true. There was.
She's so sneaky with her poisoning, she forgot.
I'm so tricky. I trick my damn self. I've written a lot of books also.
Yes.
I forget. I forget. When you've written a ton, I'm
It's a lot. There's a
I
lot
have poisoned. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
I have poisoned.
And she liked it.
Right, it was very enjoyable. Yeah. But it wasn't with that weed.
No. Hemlock.
Thriller author or most influential thriller author that you for each.
Okay. So the question is, who is our personal most influential or favorite thriller author? There's so many that is so hard to say.
You usually have to pick dead people so you don't offend anybody.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think,
I mean-
really, 'cause
I mean,
there's
of
so
course,
many great authors.
Yeah, of course, everybody on Killer Author Club,
right,
in this
right.
panel, for sure. But actually, I'm going to say someone who really isn't a thriller author, and she's long dead. But my favorite author of all time is Willa Cather, who wrote My Antonia and O Pioneers. But there are lots of murders in her books. There really are. And so I just fell in love with the beautiful language, and then the way she could weave a story, and how the setting became a character in her books as well. So I really try to do that. How about you guys?
Honestly, early influences like B.C. Andrews, and part of it, is because up until I am whatever age I might be, take a guess. No, just kidding. Don't. But so I grew up in a super conservative household, and so and it was a different time, and we just didn't have a lot of access to like the books that we have now. We just didn't have then, right back in the day, when we. But anyway, so my very first V.C. Andrews book I found in my grandmother's basement, and it was a book that didn't have a cover, and I'd never seen it. It was Flowers in the Attic, and I had never seen a book that didn't have a cover, that somebody had torn the cover off, and I knew immediately there was something different about this book. And I read that book, and it just I didn't know that you could write that way, right? And so that was, I share that story all the time because that my my sort of eyes to there was a whole new other world that was out there, and the fact that it was so forbidden, right? And that that my grandmother had to read this book in secret. I was like, what is this book? So scandalous. So
Yeah. I remember, I guess I would say Shirley Jackson, only because I can still remember reading The Lottery, like the very first time, like just the power of that, and like the just simple words, and then just the, oh my gosh, just the astounding twist, I guess, if you say it. And so I think to me that's what I love about any author that I admire. Like just you look at the way she writes and how she turns a phrase and just go, wow, that's, something to aspire to. So I don't know. I would say her probably.
Yeah, it's so hard to pick just one because I feel like it's the same every time I get that feeling when I read something and I'm like, I have never read something like that before or heard something described in that way before. I'm inspired like every day when I read a new author. But I have a similar moment. The very first time I read The Shining, that book scared me in a way a book had never scared me before. I mean, I vividly remember laying in my childhood bed reading and like feeling like I was watching a movie. And I was when I was done reading, I couldn't even put it on the bedside table because the book itself scared me. So I hid it under my bed. And that I always think about that, like how writing, a certain way of writing can get you just creeped out in a way that movies can.
Absolutely. I think we'll have one more question, and then we'll go for the giveaways. I'm going to person way in the back. So the question is, what's your research process like?
Oh, you guys started with it?
Yep.
Yeah, I do a lot of research because even though it's fiction, I want to try and make the details as realistic as I possibly can. So typically all of my books are, I don't want to say inspired by a real case, but there's, for example, my debut, A Flicker in the Dark, is about the daughter of a serial killer. And so I read, watched, listened to like everything about serial killers that I possibly could. All the Dangerous Things, similarly, is about a child that goes missing. And so I read, watched, listened to all the kidnapping stuff. So I typically just kind of jot down cases that are sort of similar or deal with similar themes as to what I'm writing about. And then I educate myself about what exactly happened, like the evidence of those cases, but more so how the people who are actually affected by the cases reacted. I guess the best way I can explain is like in A Flicker in the Dark, about the daughter of a serial killer, I listened to this podcast called Happy Face, and it's narrated by the daughter of a serial killer, and she spends so much time talking about how she has all these like identity crisis issues because if she is a descendant of such evil, then how could she possibly be a good person herself? And she even goes so far as to get like a brain scan to see if there's something wrong with her brain because there's something wrong with her father's brain. So I try to like really familiarize myself with people who have been through what I'm putting my characters through. And that's kind of the big chunk of my research. But then, of course, there's setting-specific research to make sure I'm getting the places right and things along those lines. Yeah,
I base a lot of my books on something I see in the news. So I rely heavily on police officers, who can help me make sure I get some of the details right. And, some of my books had medical issues in them. So I made sure to interview some doctors and nurses and those things. But for my most recent book, Everyone is Watching, it's the story of a reality show gone completely off the rails. Of course, I had to sit down and watch 1 million hours of reality TV. And so I'd be in my office, and my husband would walk by and he'd be like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "Well, it's Survivor or Squid Games or Bachelorette." And I'm like, "Research, it's research." So
go lay down in the corner.
Yeah.
Looks like a body.
Exactly. So, I think we gather research from wherever we can, and definitely I did for that book.
Yeah. I really don't research. I just, I like totally base it. I think it's on you, Harley. I'm not sure, but like, no, not on you, but so for my next book that's coming out in June, it's called Jill is Not Happy. Kaira is happy, but Jill is not happy. And so that story we did a trip to the Utah National Parks during the pandemic. And so we're walking these beautiful places, and everywhere is a great place to kill somebody. I mean, really, like there's like cliffs, there's these things called hoodoos. I'm like, hoodoos? Are you kidding? I got to kill somebody here. So anyway, so I think it's really like real life experiences, and then they kind of just get all mixed around, and it's not about you, as you know. It's yeah. So anyway, so that's, I think it's not. But then I'll do research to make sure I'm doing it right. The killing part. And make sure the setting's right and all that. But Yeah, I'm not really a big researcher. Google search though, whew, bad. Like, 'cause there's a lot of things about killing you have to get right.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Everybody in California went to Utah during the pandemic. I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. We all went. We all drove to Utah. Anyways, research. So it really honestly like depends on the book. So there's some books that I spend a lot of time doing different research on, and then there's like other stuff that I do like zero. Like, I was just telling Ashley that I'm actually going to do a runner story. That's like a short story, but it's just going to be a short story, and it's like there's literally zero research in that, like, but whereas other ones that I've done, it's like months of stuff, so it really, like, it just all depends, but yeah, I mean, our research, like Squid Game, you know what I mean? Like the stuff we get to do for research is very fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we're like, yeah. So,
Very cool.
it's very fun.
So yeah, I think so. So I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna have some giveaways, some killer giveaways, and so I think we'll start with the ARCs, the advanced reading copies that Barbara was kind enough to share with us. So
what are we gonna do?
so we're gonna just draw names. So
Draw
I'll
names?
hold up a book, and
Okay.
then if our guests can draw.
All right, here we go.
So the winner of Sweet Fury by
Is Jane Augsburger?
that's my sister. Put it back in.
Come on, Jane.
It's not rigged. I swear to God.
And
It's not rigged. Okay. No, it's not rigged.
no,
It's really my sister.
you can
So
totally
we'll draw
win.
another one.
No, she's winning.
Okay, Jane.
Come
You
on,
get the-
Jane.
get
Come
it,
on, Jane. If the next name is Molly, we have a problem. Okay. The next one is the Museum Detective, and the winner is Kathy Simmons.
Kathy Simmons.
Yay.
come on down.
Okay, there you go.
Congratulations.
Okay, Stacy is going to draw for Summer of Fire and Blood.
We've got Carrie, no last name. Is there a Carrie? Carrie!
Shy Carrie.
There you go. Yes, you bet. Oh, this is a fun one.
Ooh,
This
great.
one's called Creep, a Love Story.
No, you can't win.
Okay. Larissa Gallo.
Is she here today?
Larissa going once.
Going once, going twice.
Do we draw again or we
Yes.
send it to
Yeah,
her
we-
or what
Yeah,
happens?
we'll draw
Okay.
again.
We're making the
All right,
rules.
never mind. Larissa, you missed out. I'm
You
so
snooze, you
sorry.
lose. Okay, come
All
on.
right, I can't. It's hard. There's a lot. Sean. Ha.
Is there a Sean?
There you go. Okay. We did such a good job with that. Uh-huh.
There you go. Yep.
Okay.
Next we have We Are Watching by Allison Gaylene. I've heard this is great.
It's phenomenal.
And
just
Rebecca
came out.
Murray. Rebecca Murray?
Rebecca?
Rebecca.
Oh.
Hate it.
Should
Should we save it for her?
Do you want to? We can. You mail it to her. Yeah. Oh,
okay.
That's so
Rebecca gets to keep it.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to skip Rebecca.
This one is Shipwreck Fiji.
Carrie Olson. Carrie Olson.
Boy,
I got 2 Carries.
these people.
Beth Riggs.
Yay! There you go, Beth.
Front row paying off.
Johnny Careless.
Johnny Careless.
John Sanford blurbed this one, so that's pretty cool.
Okay.
All right, Bree Tesh.
Okay.
Oh, well, sorry, Bree.
Hope you're having a good evening doing something without us. Bradley Mullen. Bradley.
Okay. Yep. Give it.
And
There you
standing in for
go.
Bradley.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully this person
Must have
is
been
here.
his email that she used. So okay,
Are
and
we-
then we have The Call of the Honey Guide.
Okay. Kelly Mullen.
Oh, yay! Now we have the Sable Cloak.
Carrie Coke.
You got another Carrie?
I got 3 Carries, and they're all spelled differently.
Yeah, okay.
What are the chances of that?
You can't get a Carrie.
Oh, Steve Berry. We love him. The Medici Return.
Ooh, and we have Lindsay Browser.
Shut up.
There you go. Okay, we have one more book. It's called Harlem Rhapsody.
But we have more stuff too. So don't.
Yeah, we have more stuff.
Okay, this is for Tiffany Barger. Okay.
There you go. Okay, our next item, we have this
We're such a mess up here. Okay.
handy dandy
We are a mess. Yeah, we're a mess.
Killer Author Club tote. So you can put all your thriller books in here.
That's right.
Who's
And you're
Potions?
going to watch, of course, the Killer Author Club every other Tuesday. Okay. Jamie Haddock. Oh, yeah.
Yay.
There you go.
And then we have this lovely killer cocktail tumbler.
Right. Everyone needs one.
So
Okay. But this person is Deidre Jones. Oh.
okay. And last but not least,
It is a long way. Now you've got a drink to take back.
yes. Last but not least, we have a $50 gift card to the Poison Pen. So you need to use it here.
I know, right? Brittany Lander.
Yeah. So. Oh, good.
Yeah, rock. Yay. All right.
right.
But that's not all. Don't we have more? Oh, no, we have these.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, okay. That's all for those. Sorry. That Sorry. Okay, yes. Okay. But we have something for Stacy, Lucinda, and Barbara. Yes, we do.
And the creepies.
And and you too. Yeah, come on up. Okay, so you guys, it's our pleasure to announce that you've officially survived
the
the
Killer Author
Club. So
So-
you get your official badge.
So usually we online we just have this big old
Barbara, this is your
graphic
official
that pops
sticker.
up in the front of the face of our guests that says you survived the Killer Author Club. Well, today we have a real sticker.
It does. It
so-
looks like this. Yeah, this is
so
what it
we
looks like on the
expect you
show.
to wear it. Yeah. So yeah.
Awkward graphics. We don't know how to change it, but it just happens. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for tonight. We are so happy that we could be here with us. Thank you for being here with us for this special evening. For more fun like this, please join us on the Killer Author Club every other Tuesday. On Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. You can find us at our website as well at killerauthorclub.com. And special thanks to Barbara, the staff at Poison Pen, for hosting our first in-person event. And thanks also to the Creepy Book Club, because we wouldn't be here if they did not.
And thank you for the food.
Oh,
It's
yes,
beautiful.
And,
yeah.
and there's plenty
Yes.
of food left over. So please, before you leave, but Barbara wants to say something about some logistics.
Yeah, we need to solve the book signing question. Did you guys clear off the table back there? All right, so this is the part where we ask you to move the furniture. I'm really sorry, but that's how it goes. If you could move your chairs in that direction and clear out a path, then the authors are going to go back there where the food was and sit and sign the books that you bought. So thank you all very much for coming.